If there is one thing that aggravates me more than anything else, it is hypocrisy. When you were growing up, did your parents ever tell you, do what I say, not what I do? I can remember when I was growing up, my mom would tell me that sometimes, and it always pissed me off when she did. I don't know if there's ever been a time when the level of hypocrisy around the world has been this high. There is this do as I say, not as I do mentality. It's cloaked and disguised behind the supposed need for safety and sensitivity. We must be cognizant of people's feelings. Words can be painful. You cannot be making jokes about people in marginalized groups. They can't handle the pain. Do these people realize, do they understand how absolutely insulting that mentality is to people in supposed marginalized groups? When Chris Rock makes jokes about white people, I think it's funny. I saw Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle in New Orleans a couple of years ago. They made jokes about white people, black people, all people. It was fucking great. But you mean to tell me gay people can't laugh at gay jokes? Black people can't laugh at black jokes if it's coming from a white comedian, all because you think that they can't handle it. They're not emotionally capable of handling it. It's absolutely insulting. You want to talk about racism? To me, that's a form of racism. Thinking someone in a marginalized group can't handle jokes because of their skin or their sexual orientation. While I was reading this story we're about to talk about in the New York Post, I came across another article about John Oliver. Sunday night, he opened his show with Queen Elizabeth. Now, John Oliver is British. He's a comedian. The Queen just died at 96 years old. I mean, isn't it obvious that he's going to open his show joking about her passing? His show airs on Sky over in the UK, a network owned by the ultra-woke Comcast. They thought John Oliver's jokes were too much for his fellow Brits to handle. This might offend old women who love the Queen. We cannot air this material. It's too offensive. John Oliver needs sensitivity training. We cannot talk about hypocrisy without mentioning the king of, well, let me correct myself. We can't talk about hypocrisy without mentioning the queen of hypocrisy, another in a long line of queen of queefs, ESPN's ultimate beta male, Ryan Clark. This dude is so soft, toilet paper uses him to wipe. When Stephen A. Smith has a rough day, when he embarrasses himself by looking like a dumbass talking about the NFL, after a tough day like that, Stephen A. Smith, he needs a gentle woke hug. Typically, he enjoys a rough round of the butt bongo, but on tough days, he needs those soft hands. He needs that soft touch. That's when he reaches out to the soft hands of Ryan Clark to gently massage his bongo. Those of you that have been following me here on the channel for a while, you guys know exactly how I feel about Ryan Clark. This dude is a grade A shit fuck. This is the same beta male that refused to work with Sage Steele. Which is kind of confusing when you think about it. I thought Ryan Clark was all about lifting up black queens. I'm talking about real queens, not men pretending to be queens like Ryan Clark. I have a lot of respect for Sage Steele for being one of, if not the only voice of reason at ESPN. Ryan Clark refuses to work with her. Why? Because she's not down for a round of the butt bongo with the Fauci lizard, and she said Barack Obama was mixed race. Those were his given reasons anyway. The real reason Ryan Clark refuses to work with Sage Steele, he knows she will make him look like a complete dumbass. People who are constantly promoting lies, promoting myths and fantasies, they have a real fear of people rooted in the truth. Just last month, Ryan Clark displayed his fake emotional outrage when Chris Russo was debating him about Cooper Kupp going into the Hall of Fame. Chris Russo was doing what Chris Russo does, speaking with an elevated voice. In the feeble mind of Ryan Clark, he perceived this as Chris Russo yelling at him. He took it as a sign of disrespect. He is sunning me, this fucking white man. Hasn't he heard of mythical racism? It is a violation of the woke commandments for a white man to speak with a raised voice to a queen queefer like myself. Watch the exchange for yourself.
Yes, if Cooper Kupp right this second never play another football game, he would get the votes to go to the Hall of Fame. It's not even debatable. Cooper Kupp's been the best receiver in football for 3 years in a row. He's going to the Hall of Fame.
Mad Dog, that's a lie. That is a lie. And stop raising your voice to try to be right. That's a lie. Until this year, Cooper Kupp wasn't coming in anybody's top 5.
Cooper
Kupp wasn't a top 5 receiver until this year.
Oh,
like,
no,
what film have you watched? You're supposed to be a historian.
Oh, no. Go ask the voters. Go ask the voters. Go ask them. Go ask the Peter Kings and the people like that.
Well, they must be voting like you vote for the Heisman, where you just vote on whoever the hell you want based on the fact that they play quarterback.
Ryan, I've been voting.
Cooper Kupp is not considered.
I've been voting. Hold on now. You said something. I'm going to comment. I've been voting for the Heisman since before you were born.
Stop screaming at me, bro. That's the last time.
I was voting for the. No, you said something that wasn't right.
Now, I showed you that clip for a reason. Ryan Clark felt he was being disrespected. He felt Chris Russo raising his voice, even though that wasn't the case. That's just how Chris Russo talks, but, facts don't matter to these people. Ryan Clark lives in a world of myths and fantasies. If he creates a story of mythical racism involving Chris Russo, it just must be true. But either way, Ryan Clark felt disrespected. Most men value respect. There have been psychological studies done on what men value most in relationships. The first thing most men came back with? Respect. If a man doesn't feel respected by his woman, he will eventually leave her. If he doesn't feel respected by his colleagues or his employer, he'll find another job. Even though Ryan Clark is a beta male, even though he might choose to identify as a woke woman in his spare time, he was still born a dude. I don't give a fuck how much gender transitioning you go through. You cannot unwire genetics. So, okay, we have established that Ryan Clark values being respected. We have also established in the past that ESPN's coverage of sports is downright embarrassing. This network no longer has any business covering sports. ESPN considers Mina to be an NFL analyst. Mina Kimes, whose idea of a 3-step drop is walking back 3 steps to pick up the woke wiener she dropped on the ground. Mina Kimes, whose idea of a Hail Mary is praying to the woke oak tree. But Ryan Clark played in the NFL for 13 years. While I have criticized him in the past, one thing I have never taken away from him, Ryan Clark is qualified to be an NFL analyst. 13 years in the league, that pretty much qualifies you. But if what I'm about to show you is the type of analysis we can expect from Ryan Clark, he has no business covering this league either. Not only is this complete bullshit, but for a guy who just displayed fake outrage last month over being disrespected, this is also blatant hypocrisy. Last night, Geno Smith had the best game of his career. This dude typically completes less than 60% of his passes, which is below the bare minimum for a starter at the NFL level. Last night, Geno Smith was more accurate than Shay Sharp when he's bobbing for Don's lemons. That Shay, he rarely misses a lemon. They always find a way into his mouth. Last night was most likely the pinnacle of Geno Smith's NFL career. Unless something has drastically changed this past offseason, Geno Smith, he should return to being a bum over the next couple of weeks. People tend to overreact, especially people in the mainstream media. They tend to overreact to one outstanding performance. I remember when Trevor Siemian stepped in for an injured Jameis Winston last season and completely dominated the Bucs defense. When we were leaving the Superdome after the game, my friend, he was all excited about it. We're going to be okay. This dude lit up Tampa's defense. I said to him at the time, hey dude, just give it some time. Trevor Siemian is a career bum. He will return to his mean, and that's exactly what happened. But I don't want to rain on Geno Smith's parade. He was phenomenal last night. The Seahawks won. Geno Smith should be celebrated. That is exactly what Ryan Clark should have done last night, celebrate Geno Smith. Instead, he approached it from another angle. Watch for yourself.
Here's what's very important about this play. I want y'all to look at this guy right here. That guy's Drew Lock. As long as Drew Lock is standing in that place because Geno Smith is playing very well, that's the best case scenario for the Seattle Seahawks. Now let's watch the second play here where you're going to get the touchdown.
Like
what are you talking about?
How are you going to do him that dirty?
I was just saying he's doing a good job doing what he needs to be doing. Right, so right here.
Look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Drew Lock is not co-captain of the bum squad. Geno Smith is captain, Drew Lock is co-captain. They're both fucking awful. But let me ask you something. What was the purpose of Ryan Clark doing this? I was watching that game last night while finalizing the book for payments this morning. Now, I wasn't 100% attentive, but I'm pretty sure Drew Lock never stepped on the field. So what was the reason your so-called NFL analyst at ESPN, what was the reason to bring up Drew Lock? Not only do you bring him up, you claim the most important part of that play was him standing on the sideline. I don't expect much from ESPN anymore when it comes to analysis, but is this really how low their analysis of the NFL has become? No wonder the fucking league doesn't want to give them premier games on Monday Night Football. But let's take it a step further. This bullshit happened on SportsCenter with Scott Van Pelt. I'm sure you heard him in the background softly chastising Ryan Clark for calling out Drew Lock. He should have thrown him off the fucking set. This is what you call analyzing the NFL? Get the hell out of here. You were completely useless. Someone bring in Mina. At least we can laugh at her meaningless statistics. But let me ask you this. What if the roles were reversed? What if Drew Lock was the star, had the best night of his career, and Geno Smith was on the bench? What if Scott Van Pelt highlighted Geno Smith the way Ryan Clark disrespected Drew Lock? What do you think Ryan Clark's reaction would have been? First of all, Scott, it doesn't matter Geno Smith is on the bench. I actually envy him. I enjoy a nice piece of wood in my bongo. But second, you just committed mythical racism. How dare you call out a black man like that while glorifying an evil white man? My feelings are hurt. My emotions are taking over. I can't stop queefing. This pain and disrespect is agonizing. Look at these fake tears. You have made me cry. I can no longer work with you. And look. Just to be clear, I am not saying Ryan Clark took a shot at Drew Lock because he's white. I don't think that's the case. I know that's not the case. I'm just saying, if the roles were reversed, how would Ryan Clark react to the same situation? It's the hypocrisy that's the problem. This dude is a fucking clown. Does ESPN have one man at this network that can talk about the NFL? Just one? Peyton and Eli Manning, they are great, but I don't really count them as being part of ESPN. I'm talking about their day-to-day NFL analyst. Mina, garbage. Ryan Clark, embarrassing. Stephen A. Smith. When it comes to the NFL, Stephen A. Smith falls in the category of huge embarrassing failure. Dominique Foxworth. Dominique Foxworth is god-awful. Adam Schefter, I'm not even sure about Adam Schefter anymore. But let me know what you guys think. Ryan Clark takes an unnecessary, unprovoked, disrespectful shot at Drew Lock. How do you think he would react? Or ESPN as a whole, how would they react if the roles were reversed? You guys let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Hit that like and subscribe button. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.